I had her frozen. Lauren actually froze a couple of queens for us so we can play around with. So queens are by far to me the easiest to dissect because they're obviously large and you sort of it's easy to manipulate the large body, right? And we sort of know what to expect on the inside fairly well. So usually, I guess, a couple of things that I will probably show you, but I'm now sharing the screen. Can you see me still? I think you should be able to still see me,
Yeah,
right?
if you have two screens, you can see you and you can see the pictures from the microscope.
So the first thing I'm going to show you is this, right? So this is the Silgard dish that we talked about. It's a Petri dish that I will use as a podium essentially for doing dissections. And then here's just a sample of the wax one. Um, and since Wendy's not complaining, that means I think you guys can see it. So that's the wax one, and you can see how there are holes in it. And again, it gets damaged much easier than this one has some pins stuck in it and they don't, they're not falling out. And if I remove the pin, you can't really see that there was a hole there. So that's the Silgard dish. That's the expensive one, right? We have them in the glass here. And then you'll see I'll prepare the dish. And then I have pins normally stuck in that whatever the substrate is. So I'll have different types of pins. Usually we do anything between sizes 0 to 3. 3 is pretty fine. I mean, it's a little bit thicker. I don't know if you can see, but size 3 pin is pretty good. And it's easier to manipulate. It doesn't bend as easily, so it's nice. So that's essentially what I will start off, as I said, with my podium. And here's the queen. I put it back. There she is. And then I have a variety of tools, and I usually use the fine tip forceps. These are fine tip curved forceps. I actually don't use them as often, but I couldn't find my regular pair. And then we have a variety of micro scissors. So let me see if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Let's see. Okay, so variety of micro scissors, right? And they literally are just tiny little scissors that you can use for cutting into small objects. In this case, obviously, it's going to be a honeybee. So they're super, super small. You can also purchase these. The nicer ones are costly, so they're probably about $200, but you can find some cheap ones on Amazon. Again, depends on how often you think you're going to be doing dissections, right? So those are scissors. So we talked about forceps, and then I also have this, I mentioned earlier, the featherweight forceps. They look like a feather almost. They're very light, and they literally are just, as I said, used as an extension of the my fingers. So instead of me grabbing the queen, right, I would use this featherweight forceps to manipulate her. So here she is. Boom, queen. Okay. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have some fine tip forceps. These are curved. I'm not really used to doing some stuff with curved forceps, so we'll see how this goes. But usually what I'll do next, after I have the bee on the Petri dish, I will pour some water into the dish on top of the queen. And that just makes it a little bit, easier for me to see. Might be a little bit tricky for you, but it's easier for me to dissect and to see different body parts. I know that the glare of the light is always an issue, so I'll see if I can dissect and then maybe adjust a little bit for you so you can see better. I think. Okay, then I can't see. Okay, so I'll do that, and then I'll grab the queen and I will pin her through the thorax. So you can't even necessarily see the pin, but the pin is, let's see, that's the pin. Right? So you can barely see it, but I pinned the queen through the thorax upside down. It's easier access. And then let's see what we can see. And I am sorry if this causes anybody any like motion sickness issues, but I'm moving the focus. So hopefully you are able to see a little bit better. Whee! That won't help you, huh? Okay, there we go. So you can see the stinger, I hope, but I'll point it out. Right there. Right, see the stinger? So what I normally do, I'll grab that stinger, pull it up, and then I cut, I guess, down the ventral part of the abdomen. So let's see how this goes. I'm trying to look at the camera and at the screen, so, or at the microscope and at the screen. So let's see how it goes. See if this is better. I need more light. Okay, so I mentioned earlier, I will grab the sting. And actually I'm grabbing now the ventral part of the abdomen, those tergites, right? So the cuticle. And I'll cut down the sides. Wendy, you're in charge of yelling at me if you can't see, if I like move it off the screen.
No,
So
it's good. Thank you. Keep going.
There's a sting, right? A sting. And then I cut around all of the connective tissue, holding all of that together, and I cut all the way up to the thorax. So hopefully when we open it, when we pull it, I'm creating like a little window, right? When I pull that back, we'll rip it open, I guess, you'll be able to see. And this dish is sitting on top of really slippery surface, so it keeps slipping away. Also, I always decide every year when I do this that I would never want to be a human surgeon. I'm not very elegant when I'm doing this. Okay, so let's see. And I know for you, it's not quite as clean, but I'll play with the lighting, right? So maybe we can, that totally washes it out. That right there would be good if it stayed that way. Aha. Okay, I think you can see that clearly now. So the top of it is the guts. You can see some of that. We talked about the gut, hind gut, right? Let's see what we can start pulling out. Try and do this. So I'll move there, and then let's see if we can find that spermatheca. And actually, I think I see it under the microscope fairly well. So let me, I'm gonna have to, ooh, it looks beautiful, doesn't it there? Ooh. Okay, so let's see what I can do like this. Pulling out the guts. And then there's the spermatheca. Okay, so I dissected the spermatheca out. Let's see if I can show it to you. It is on top of the forceps. And because it's camera, obviously camera is taking a little bit to adjust and there's a lot of movement, but that's the spermatheca. And let me see if I will move it now. And what I do actually, hopefully you can see it. Let's see. So it's right there on top of my fingertip, right? And that's actually often what the beekeepers will do. They'll rip open the the queen, and they'll put it on their fingertip. And then what they do, they will try and remove that. They'll roll it around to remove the tracheal net to expose, and I'll put it under the microscope as well, but to expose whether the queen is mated or not. And I actually am able to see that the queen is mated. And let's see if I can just keep it on the finger, and hopefully you'll be able to see. Yep. So you can see the tracheal net sitting on the bottom, right? I hope, Wendy, yes?
Yeah, totally. It's good. Thank you.
The brown ball, essentially, on top of that tracheal net is the spermatheca. And you can see that it's not clear, which means this was a mated queen, and a really fully, nicely mated queen. All right. So there's the spermatheca. Let's see what else we have.
Yeah, you could actually see some of the marbling on that one, which was great. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the gut. Gut is fairly easy. I'm gonna pull everything out. Fairly easy to see. I mean, it looks like an intestine, right? And then what I always am in awe of, I guess, are the ovaries. And they're huge. So all of that mass are ovaries. Looks a little bit different than a nicely drawn diagram, right? So here we go. There's the top of the ovary, one of them. And then you can see the individual ovarioles. See if I can zoom in. Yep. You can see individual eggs, essentially, as well, inside the ovarioles. So, but they're huge. Right. So that, just that is one ovary. And the connective tissue, of course, but that's one ovary. And then here's the other ovary. And you can actually see eggs. So these things on top, these white things right here, are eggs. So that was clearly a pretty well mated laying queen, right? Let's see what else we can find inside. I will remove the gut, remove the ovaries to the side, and actually it just amazes me every time, no matter how many ovaries I've dissected, it just amazes me how huge they are. And when we'll open up a worker as well, and you'll see there will be nothing like that in there. Right. So there they are, just all the way to the side. Just the ovaries. Let's go back to the bee. And that spaghetti looking thing, those spaghetti looking things, those are your Malpighian tubules. Remember, those are the essentially kidneys that float in the hemolymph, and they collect like uric acid and waste materials essentially, and then they pull it into the gut, and it gets mixed with other waste, and it's pulled out. Okay. As I said, I'm trying to use the combination of looking through the scope and then looking to see what you guys are seeing. So again, hopefully it's not making anybody too sick. Okay. I'm gonna have to redirect the light a little bit so I can see what I'm doing, and then we can get back to once I dig out what I have. So I'm going to, now essentially the cavity is completely empty, right? There is nothing really else left in there. So again, remember, reproduction and digestion are what's going on inside the abdomen. So here is the sting chamber. Let me see how much damage I've done for the glands. If we can see those nicely. There's the poison sac, or the venom sac, I guess. Use a pin to point that out. There's the poison sac with a poison gland attached, right? So there's the venom sac and the gland. That actually looks pretty good. Good. I was worried glare was gonna be too much. So there's that to the side. I think this is a part of digestion. Maybe ovaries, ovary. And then let's see, let's open up. And okay, and there is, so there's the venom sac, right? The venom gland and the venom sac. And then I'm removing some trachea and the connective tissue. And then this little gland here, it looks like a little worm coming out at you. You can't see it because the light is weird. There it is. Right next to this poison sac, that's a Defore's gland. And it's huge in the queens compared to workers. Right. So the role of it is not really well understood. The idea is possibly that it essentially signals that the queen is reproductive, right? And then if you just open it up, let's see how good I am at this. You can see it goes into the sort of into that area. It disappears into where the stinger is. So there's the stinger there. If you open it, you can see it goes into the opening right there. And then I mangled it all up. Okay. Ovaries again. Gut. We weren't, there's an egg. Again, I don't know if you managed to see it earlier, but there's an egg right there. Oh, it's really small. I impress myself every time how coordinated I actually end up looking. But there is an egg, so that sort of translucent. Let's see if I can grab another pin. Probably not. Okay, so right there, it's a little egg. Hopefully at least some of you were able to see it right there. Okay. And we talked about the digestive tract. The Malpighian tubules are all over. This is the top of it. There we go. Here we go. Yeah, so spaghetti. Okay, so that was the queen. Let's take a look at a worker. Clean it up a little bit. Worker. There we go. So the same deal, right? We have head, thorax, abdomen, and I usually flip it over on its back. And for this one, again, you can see the mouth parts already, right? A little bit better. So there's the sucking mouth parts that we talked about. There they are, and they are essentially several pieces, several different mouth parts, or parts of the proboscis that create a tube like a straw, so you can suck or transfer food even, right? In and out. Again, there we go. There it is. And let's see if we can get, I can't remember who was following along with microscope, but I hope you're doing okay with dissections. Okay, and there, so here's the proboscis, right? Let me just chop off the head. with the head, we can pin the head down as well, so you can easily see the mouth parts. And for head, I usually use a thinner pin, so it doesn't damage as much. But you can see that really nicely, really cleanly. I hope I can see it very well.
Yeah, it's working. It's just there's always a delay with the camera. That's the only challenge.
Yeah, I'm seeing the delay as well, so that's why I'm saying it's like it's really challenging to do this on Zoom. But there's the antenna, right? Elbowed, looks like an ant. And then you will see the mandibles. Actually, let me see if I can try opening them up with the pin so you can see a little bit better. Okay. Wouldn't open it. Stubborn bee.
When you cut through the fat body, the abdomen of the queen, Alina, did you cut through the fat bodies? That's a question in the chat.
So the fat bodies are essentially attached to the cuticle on the inside, the top and the bottom. So it's really, there are fat bodies on the top side, the bottom side, sort of the inside lining of the abdomen. When I cut through the sides, there aren't as many fat bodies, but I'll see if I can go back to the carcass and sort of show you the, as I said, sort of the grouping of cells, essentially. Okay, so there's the mandible that I kind of chopped off. That's one of the mandibles, and I think that was one of the things that you saw in the presentation as well, right? So that's one of them. And that is where the mandibular gland is attached to it. This is really just a connective tissue. I think I burst the gland, but there it is. Okay. Then let's see if I can get into the, my forceps are not, as I said, the sharpest or the thinnest, so it's really tough, but often I can get in enough, and I just cut through the ocelli, get in enough for you to see the hypopharyngeal glands, and there it is. It just popped right open. I mean, popped right out, not right open. Let's see if I can refine the focus. Nope. Maybe a little bit. Okay, there they are, hypopharyngeal glands. So remember we were talking about, I actually don't now remember if I mentioned it, but they look like grapes. Right? And they look like a bunch of grapes. So there it is. And those are the glands that the brood food is coming from partially. And the queen mandibular pheromone, I think I saw a question that the queen mandibular pheromone has the 5 components. Are those the components that differ with the brood food? No, that's specifically chemicals that are queen mandibular pheromone, right? Okay, so let me see how much I can peel off. And see what else we can find in there. Normally, obviously, we can see the brain as well, but it just looks like, you know, I can't, it's really not that well defined when you remove the glands. Especially that I'm doing this fairly quickly. Not very patiently, and I probably like ripped it once I stabbed the bee, the poor head of the bee. Yeah, so those are, wow, this was like a really nice hypopharyngeal gland. Oh, sorry, I moved it too fast and too far. But I'll let you admire that for a second. And poor, my student Nissa actually has done some really nice dissections of hypopharyngeal glands because she's measuring them. But again, as I said, let's see if we can get to the, if we can see the brain. And I apologize for the moving around. It's actually really difficult for me to be looking through the scope right now because all of the light is not there. Yeah, I think I totally macerated the brain. I didn't leave anything for us to look at, unfortunately. And that brown stuff was the other other eye, right? So those are probably the connective and the neural tissues of the eye, the optic lobe. Okay, that one's done so. So let's see what we can see when we cut open the worker. And again, I have stayed clear from dissecting worker ovaries because they're just basically, I don't even know, this is a nurse bee for sure. So there will be essentially no ovary development, or there shouldn't be any ovary development there. So, but let's see, take a quick look inside. And I guess you'll also be able to see what's not there, if that makes sense. Okay. Oh. Okay, so the stinger is hiding a little bit, so you can't readily see it. So again, if I go under the ventral tergites, I always cut to the side, like close to the side, as close to the wall as possible to prevent cutting open any tissues or damaging any tissues. Connective tissue, there you go. Whoops. And this one was full of pollen. and you can see the crop nicely as well. Well, hopefully you'll see it when I move it. Okay, so let's orient ourselves a little bit. There's the crop. So there's the crop and it's full of nectar. Right, see it? And then we're going down to the midgut, right? And then this, so this is the rectum. You can see it's packed with pollen. I'm trying to unravel it without damaging it, but it's a bit of a challenge. And what do you not see? You don't see ovaries. Definitely not like what you've seen with the queen, right? There's no spermatheca either. But let's go back to the gut. If I can, let me see if I can grab another pen. Ooh, it looks pretty good on your side. Okay, let's see if we can detangle this mess. There we go. We burst the crop though, so now it's upside down, but that's the crop. The proventriculus is right there on the inside, like the little filter. Ventriculus, midgut, ileum, rectum. So let me see if I can like move it around so it's at least at the right direction. Okay, and then of course the Malpighian tubules are all over. Okay. Let's see if I can cut this. Oh, tore it off. Open to see the proventriculus a little bit closer. Mm. No, it's not. It's not listening to me. Yeah, it's not. The stuff is floating around. Over the top of it. Yeah, I can kind of get a sense for, remember when they were saying it looks like it has teeth. Yeah, I can't really see it, but it looks like it has teeth at the end. It's like that filter is filtering the pollen. And then let's see what we have inside the gut, or the cavity, I guess, now empty cavity. So Wendy, those are your fat cells.
Got it. Okay.
So they kind of look like, if you think about it, they look like the hypopharyngeal glands.
Yeah, they do.
But it's essentially a group of cells that is together, and it's on the upper side of the abdomen, lower side of the abdomen. There is definitely fat in the head and a little bit of it in the thorax, but most of it is in the abdomen. And
So
250, or not 250, Not 2:58, right? My watch or my clock is showing 2:58.
It's 11:58.
Good.
Yeah. And the fat body tissue is just that, it's tissue. Is it also classified as an organ in some cases? Because I've
Uh, an interesting question. I mean, it doesn't, it's just a group of cells of specific type.
right. Okay. Yeah, that's a great picture of it. Thank you.
I'm gonna have to ask a physiologist on that. I've never necessarily heard it called an organ. But yes, that's voila.